Howdy folks, Texas Grebner here with Texas Grebner Outdoors. New videos every Saturday, so if you don't want to miss out on your Texas Grebner Outdoors Saturday morning cartoon awesomeness, make sure to click subscribe and check my channel every Saturday. This is going to be some very basic outdoor skills that pretty much everybody should have. Granted, if you don't know, it isn't your fault if nobody showed you. I love reading your comments and I really do appreciate all of you that watch. And I got asked to do a video on how to tie on fish hooks. So I'm going to show you two of my favorite fisherman's knots.
If you don't have a strong fisherman's knot, then nothing else matters. It doesn't matter how much you paid for your rod, how much you paid for your reel, how strong your line is. If your knot slips or your knot breaks, then nothing else matters. And I lost a lot of fish when I was younger because I didn't quite know how to tie an actual good fisherman's knot. So I'm hopefully going to save you a lot of trouble. When you're learning to tie fisherman's knots, it's a good idea to have a sinker with an eyelet in it so that you're not becoming familiar with your knots and getting poked by one of these wicked things and having to get it cut out of your anatomy. So I've got some braided line here that is 50-pound Magic braid, and I've got my sinker. The first knot that I'm going to show you is the Palomar. And as you can see, I have this line doubled up through the eye of our make-believe hook. And now I'm just going to take that around my finger, and I'm going to tie a simple overhand knot. Now I'm going to get a little bit of slack, and we're going to slide it around our hook shank and up past the barb, and then bring it up here. As you can see, I've got my main line and my tag end outside, and now I'm just going to pull out a little bit of slack and snug that all down. And as you can see, I'm pulling on this sinker to snug that down, which is why I say when you're learning how to do these knots, it's important to practice on a sinker because it's incredibly easy to slip and end up pricking yourself past the barb and having a hospital visit. And hospital visits suck. Believe it or not, I have honestly never gone past the barb on a fish hook, and I've never caught myself in a steel trap yet amongst my other accidents. But what makes the Palomar knot so great is that it's very simple, and it is very strong, and it is a good knot for braided line. What makes it so strong is that you have two passes through the eye of the hook and two wraps. So your Palomar knot should actually be double the strength of your main line. Now, if this were a normal fish hook, what I like to do with braided line, just to ensure further that it can't pull out, is I will take my tag end here and I will actually tie another overhand knot close in, and then I will trim it right there. That way, if the knot does start to slip, it does have another knot in the way. Now, the next knot that I'm going to show you is what I call the double clench knot. And the double clench knot is a little bit more complicated than a Palomar, but trust me, it is very doable. Now, the double clench knot is also a very strong knot. Again, I'm using Magic braid, and so I'm going to take my main line and run it through once, and then run it through a second time. So, as you can see, I have two passes through, and now I'm going to go around my main line once, twice, 3, 4, and 5. Now, you can see that I'm holding my thumb and finger on this to keep those loops open. And now I'm just going to take and run that end through those loops. Through the one loop, back through the other loop, and then snug that all down. Now what makes this knot very strong is that it has a protection around the main line by our wraps, and it cinches itself off. And also this knot, as you saw, just like the Palomar, has two hitches through the eye of the hook. So it should double your line breaking strength. Now, I like braided line myself, but there's nothing wrong with monofilament fishing line. I'm just going to show you those knots one more time with an actual hook. The Palomar, which is actually probably my favorite, and then the double clench. So the Palomar, we have our doubled up piece of line, carefully handling our hook. Then we do an overhand knot, holding it around our finger. Then we slide our loop through, then go around our hook, bring it up, keeping our tag end outside, and then we just snug everything down tight. Now, as you can see the way that I'm grabbing this, I'm grabbing it in a way that prevents me from getting stuck by the point of the hook. So that's a Palomar knot. And of course, time for the double clench again. So we take our main line, run it through once, run it through twice, and then pinch that right at the eye of the hook, and then wrap once, twice, 3, 4, and 5. And it's a good idea at this point to wet your line. And then run it through. And then tuck it back the other way. And being very careful not to get hooked, you snug it all down. Now, of course, this heavy braided line isn't quite cooperating, but there you see that I have the protective cinch, and I have the double through the actual eye of the hook. And so those are two excellent fisherman's knots, the Palomar and the double clench knot.
It don't matter how much you paid for your rod, how much you paid for your reel, what fancy lure you've got tied onto your ugly stick. It don't matter. If you don't have it tied on right and it breaks at the knot, nothing else matters if you don't have a good knot. So I hope this video is helpful to you. As always, God bless all my sportsmen of America. Join the NRA to protect our rights. Just got my friends over at SOETacticalgear.com. Thank you very much to those of you involved in law enforcement and those of you serving in the military. And thanks for watching Tex Grebner Outdoors.